Oh, perfect.
Um, I think she has done a wonderful job, Anu Patel from Vancouver, and I think she has been instrumental partly in making it international on the web. Thank you very much for all of you. And Stephen Bray, a special welcome to you. Uh, I wish you come back soon, back here with amongst all of us. Om Shanti. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Dr. Mehta. We too have the same feeling that we want Stephen back in our team in India, not in Australia. So anyway, that's drama. So let's move on to the meeting now, and I'll pass it on to Stephen brother for the further proceedings. Over to you, Stephen bhai. Unmute yourself. Stephen, yeah, sorry. Unmute, yeah.
Thank you. It's one of the most popular T-shirts at the moment is "Unmute Yourself." People walking around the streets. It's very nice to hear your words, Dr. Mehta, and I guess that the thing that we're all feeling is that with the thanks of technology, there's no sense that I'm in Australia and you're in India. And as you said, you feel like that I'm just sitting next to you. And I think that that's the beauty. You know, you've had Anupama doing lots of work from Vancouver, and it's given us a sense that there's no boundaries when it comes to VIHASA. And there's a couple of things that I really liked in what you said, Dr. Mehta, is that every time that we do facilitate VIHASA, we ourselves get a new understanding of the nuances of a particular value. And I feel it's our great fortune that because we're constantly facilitating around the values, it's a really great way of reinforcing that value in our deep subconscious and really emerging that which is really within us. And I'll go into a minute. We're going to have a quick meditation commentary, but I'll give you a little bit of a brief structure of the day and the objectives of the day after the meditation commentary. But the purpose of the meditation commentary is really to set the tone. These reunion retreats in the past have been around refining our meditation, our facilitation skills. And I think that this 3-hour retreat is similar, but it's the more subtle facilitation skills in terms of the being skills that we're going to focus on. And I guess the reality check is that this is just a 3-hour session, and our life provides the opportunity for living and practicing and experimenting with those values and experimenting with deep consciousness on a day-to-day basis. So today is really to dip our toe into the water, so to speak. Manoj had said that we've been doing a lot of the VIHASA programs online. What about us as the facilitators? And that's the whole concept behind the reunion retreats, is the sustenance of the VIHASA facilitators. So we don't envisage to answer all of your questions today, but we're just providing an opportunity for us to come together to co-create and co-explore what are the contributing factors that really enable us to be an embodiment of values on a day-to-day basis, not just in facilitation, but life in general. So it's going to involve some personal reflection, as you would in a retreat. It's going to involve some conversation with others in our breakout rooms, and it's going to involve some converging from a whole set of ideas around the contributing factors of values to what are those things that really help us be connected and be the best versions of ourselves on a day-to-day basis. So without any further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a meditation commentary for the next 5 minutes, just to set us along those lines, that this is all about sustaining us as a facilitator and understanding the subtle nuances. And as I'm speaking, I'm just reminding myself to slow down because my accent is a little bit strong. So just if I ask Manoj and Koshi and Anupama to just give me a nudge every now and then if I'm speaking too quickly. So just bear with me for a second whilst I
Yeah, Stephen, sorry to interrupt. We can just hear some cracky noise from you in the background. Is it something of the desktop, or I don't know what that noise is? You got it? Yeah.
It's the fan. It's, as I
Okay.
said, it's 32 degrees and it's 60% humidity. So I'm just going to turn that fan on because that's what's causing the crackling. So just 1 minute, I'm just going to turn that off.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Just allow yourself to be set on your seat. Volume is okay? Volume okay?
Can we make it slightly down?
Music volume down? Okay? Just really feel yourself seated on the seat. Just really gently stepping behind the eyes. Just ensuring that consciousness is fully engaged. Allow yourself to be present to all of the visual energy, all of the sound energy, and the sensory energy, the heat, the cold. And just allow yourself that you're fully present within this physical body. My intellect and mind are becoming increasingly focused and sensing my deep inner resource, of virtues, spiritual powers, the treasure chest of values. This is a constant process of tuning in and staying tuned in to my inner strengths, my unlimited drishti, and whilst I can hear physical sounds, see the visual, I'm sensing my strength. I'm sensing my patience. And just allow yourself just to sense, deeply feel, not think, what you're bringing into this retreat today. Deeply sense those values that are required when we're listening. As we're co-creating. Use whatever visuals you'd like to use that represents that bouquet of values that you have ready. The very surface of your subconscious. And just allow yourself to honestly reflect how focused you've been able to be in the last couple of minutes. Whether your thoughts went to anything in particular, whether they went to something in the future that you have to do today. And just ask yourself to what percent that you felt really connected to your inner values, your inner peace. And I just invite you to bring that awareness that you've just created with you into this conversation, each and every one of us today, are what I call facilitants. We're all holding the space for each other. We're all facilitators today. And we're all contributing. So thank you. Somebody's got their microphone off mute. If the team could just address that, that would be great. So thank you. And you should now be seeing the objectives of today. And we're just going to just go through these briefly, and then we're just going to have a little bit of a conversation here in the group about your expectations for today. But as Manoj and I were designing this retreat, we came up with these objectives. And as I said at the beginning, this is really a beginning of a conversation. It's not the end, it's an ongoing journey, as you've obviously realized for yourselves. But we're going to explore how to deepen our own personal experience of values, using the tools that we use in VIHASA, and identify what are my personal building blocks, the foundation I have for maintaining depth and experiencing my values, because there'll always be moments where we're not our full selves. We're not bringing our full selves to the situation. There will be moments where we're in degrees of percentage of our values. And the third one is to really experience what spiritual facilitation looks and feels like. And as I said in that last, in the commentary, is that we're facilitants. And what that means is you're a combination between a facilitator and a participant. And we're bringing those facilitation skills. I've just written a chapter in a book called The Power of Facilitation, which will come out early in the new year. And the chapter that I've written is Living a Facilitative Life. And that's our aim. And VIHASA is really giving us the tools to do that. So I'm really interested. First of all, if you could just type into the chat box where you're coming from today. But also, one of the questions I asked is that when that meditation commentary was going on, what percentage did you feel that you were fully connected throughout the duration of that meditation, from beginning to end? Was it 50%? Was it 60%? It's just being totally honest, and just put into the chat what your name is, where you're coming from, and what you felt your percentage of really feeling deeply connected through that commentary. How are we going? So can everybody hear me?
Yes, yes, you are quite audible, but as I told you, that creaky noise, maybe it's the fan or something. You need it because it's quite warm, right?
No, I've turned the fan off. Can't you
No,
see the sweat dripping from my brow?
actually, then you just start the fan because it's not related to that. There is some noise. I don't know what it is, Anu sister. There's something, right? Something is there. Anyway.
Yeah, it is there, and I was trying to figure out, but we can't see anything.
And the participants I have muted, but the CK Palani Swami, I don't know whether it's from there or what, because it was there from the beginning. Okay, anyway.
Okay, thank you, Archana. Thank you, Rena. So we've got 95, 70%. Ashima, 60%, felt soothing and peaceful. Be lovely if you just put in your percentage. Yep, great. Yeah, love the honesty, because that's what it's about. We, you know, having 100% days, 100% of the times. Yeah, I don't know too many people that can manage that. So great. All right, and you can. This is the time for the next couple of minutes. We've got some time if you want to take yourself off mute and put your. If everybody like to put on their cameras, and I'm just going to put it into gallery view so I can see everybody. That'll be really nice. And yeah, what are your thoughts about the objectives that we've set for today, and any of your own expectations?
Stephen, I think that small, disturbance is coming somewhere from a loose connection of your headphone to the laptop. Just try to fix that. Maybe that will.
It's solid. I'm not sure.
Please put on the fan. I have been in Australia in this weather and I know how hot it is.
Thank you, Archana. So any comments about the objectives and expectations for today? It's so nice to see so many faces after a long time.
Yeah, I just like to see that, we're doing so many things on virtual VIHASA. But what kind of impact are we making? Can we do something measurable? Can we come up with something that we really want? Because our objective is to help the healthcare providers. And this is the time when they need it the most. And I'm surrounded by most of them in my friends and family. And I see the amount of trouble that they are all going through mentally. So how do we make, that impact?
Thank you. I'm glad you raised that early, Archana, because when our objectives, we knew that that's a concern of people to want to talk about things around VIHASA implementation. But this 3 hours is not about VIHASA implementation. This is about us. This is about our efforts, refining our efforts with respect to the values, because we can easily go into that. And we've seen that when we have our reunion retreats and we have 3 days and we have the time to do that. But thank you for raising that. But at this particular retreat, we're going to steer clear of all of those discussions and just focus on ourselves and our own personal dana around the values. But thank you for raising. Anybody else? Dr. Ashok? You're on mute. All good? You're on mute, Dr. Ashok.
I think I would like to flow, just flow.
Great, thank you. Yep, that's what we tend to do. Lovely. Anybody else there? Dr. Rina? Lovely. Okay, everybody's feeling quite shy. Are we still waking up today? Manoj, did you want to add anything else to what our intent and the background behind why we've kept it focused around our own dana?
Yeah, so I felt the main objective of the retreat, I had told you I conveyed this message in the past as well. I want to learn alaukic facilitation. As you rightly said, the spiritual facilitation skills, I want to go into that because being a laukic facilitator, we have really had many reunion retreats whereby we learned, but sometimes I feel inside there's a bit of conflict. So what my mind is, I should be speaking the same and I should be doing the same. So I think that alaukic facilitation, I need to learn from this. Thank you.
Great, great, thank you. All right, lovely. Okay, please don't feel shy. You will have plenty of opportunities to talk. So somebody else is wanting to speak?
Yes, Stephen Bhai.
First we've got Vadaha Rajan. Thank you.
Thank you. Actually, I understand that we have in Australia. Actually, I worked in Australian customer service. I faced a lot of difficult and different situations. How do you just want to know how do you come up with VIHASA and put to people about spirituality? Because in Australia, I understand, as per my understanding, spirituality understanding is very less. Am I right or not?
Oh, look, that's a perception, and again, same answer as I gave Archana. The focus of the retreat is about our efforts with respect to imbibing the values. So it's a very nice question, thank you. But I'm going to sidestep that one because I want us to really stay focused on our objectives for today. Which is about what are the building blocks for us personally. We're not focused on anybody else. We're not focusing on people outside of us. We're focused on being the embodiment of values ourselves. But thank you for the question. And I think there was Araki. You wanted to say something?
Yes, Stephen Bhai, Om Shanti.
Om Shanti,
Adding on to what Manoj Bhai has mentioned, to understand how to do spiritual facilitation. And in last reunion also there was something which I put across was the entire structure of VIHASA is invert out unlike any other facilitation that happens in the world. So to building up further from here, how do we align all our thoughts, our mind while we are there out facilitating, that we are absolutely giving 100% of ours and giving that invert out approach, which is absolutely like Atmic Swarup or spiritual Swarup, and that's a struggle or a challenge that I definitely face, and therefore, that's the value I would want to take from today's session.
Thank you, Raki. It's a beautiful point, and I'm sure that we'll talk more about it as we go along. My take on it is that every moment in life is an opportunity to be more facilitative and to be more aware of our inner resources. So what we're trying to do is that when that happens, then it becomes easier in our facilitation practice. So it's not as though we're just practicing this for facilitation, we're practicing this for life. And then we just walk in, as Dr. Mehta said, it's a flow. So we're creating more connection with our values in every single moment, and then it'll just happen naturally when we're facilitating. Dr. Rina, you wanted to say something, I think?
Yes, I want to express that the main motive of me joining this reunion is that I want to experience these values more and more deeply, at the subtle level, at the subconscious level. And one idea which came to my mind right now, that we have a feedback form for the participants and we have inter-facilitator feedback form also. In this reunion or after that, we can design a self-feedback questionnaire for each one of us, so that we can assess ourselves after every session, that if there is a control, that what is the control of my experience, and am I living up to that experience, personal experience of values or not, after each Vihasa session. So kind of a self feedback questionnaire could be one of the solution. But I know everything could not be put on paper, but we can design some subtle ways to experience the values more and more. That is the main motive of me joining this reunion. I'm
Lovely,
looking forward
lovely.
to that.
Yeah, thank you. You know, definitely keep that in mind. And the majority of my times that I'm facilitating, I have a co-facilitator. Before we facilitate together, we will have 15 minutes of silence. And my friend is not a BK, but we have 15 minutes of silence. And then at the end of it, we reflect together, whether it's an hour and a half. Generally, if it's a full day retreat, we will reflect for an hour and a half. But if we've done a 90-minute workshop, we will reflect together for 30 minutes. What were my personal reflections? What were his personal reflections? What were my observations of him? What was his observations of me? Where can we improve on those levels of being, not on doing, on the levels of being? So thank you. Great. Well, really looking forward to it, and I'm sure that if you've got any other points, Reshmi has said, my objective is to understand how better I can prepare myself to give my 100% peace, love, happiness, and any values that I'm taking session with to my audience. And guess what? Our family is our audience. The people that we're working with are our audience. You know, you have an audience 100% of the day. At some part of your day, there's some type of audience. It may be VIHASA, but you've got family. And these are the places where we can really experiment with our values. So lovely. What we might do is that we will just go into the first exercise, and there'll be opportunities for more discussion and debriefing after each of our breakout sessions. But I'm just going to give you a question to reflect on, and just find my little button that takes me forward. And so the question that each of you, and I'm going to give you 5 minutes to reflect on this, and remember, this is like a VIHASA workshop where we give the participants the opportunity for personal reflection. And then after this, we're going to break out into some groups of 3 or 4 where we're going to reflect. We're going to share our stories. And I invite you to think of a time when you felt you were an embodiment of a particular value. And what were the conditions or factors that enabled you to be an embodiment of that value? And I'm recalling a moment when I was back in India, and I was, for a short period of time, I was administrator of the Global Hospital Trauma Centre. And I was there for about 18 months. And in that period of time, we had a considerable number of mass traumas. And that was anything over 10 injuries that would come to the hospital at any one time. And I remember, I think it was the last day or the second last day of my time at the hospital, we had a major bus accident where a bus overturned, speeding around a corner, and it hit a parked truck, and it peeled the top of the bus off, and there was about 13 fatalities, and we had close to 50 injuries come to the hospital. And so this was at the culmination of 18 months work in the trauma centre. And I remember, you know, we had to discharge patients, we had to turn wards into theatres, minor operating theatres, and they were all hands on deck. Every staff member from anywhere, and plus locals that knew us, were there helping us out. And my role was overseeing things. And I was walking around, and I remember walking into one of the eye wards that were turned into an operating theatre. And I looked at one of the doctors, and I felt that there wasn't enough light. And I said to him, "Do you need anything?" And he said, "Yes, I need an operating light. I can't see what I'm doing." And I turned around and I saw one of our ward persons, and I said to him, "Do you know where that spare operating theatre light is?" And he said, "Yes, I do." And he went and got that. Now that happened all night. It happened every time I turned around. That there was a sense of flow, there was a sense of a synchronicity, and there was a sense of just easy cooperation. Now, when I reflect back on that, what were the conditions and the factors that enabled me to be an embodiment? There was it just didn't happen overnight. There was my regular churning. There was my reflecting at the end of the day on how I held myself. Was I the best version of myself? So there was reflection. There was my churning. There was my meditation. And there was many other things. So what I want you to think of is to think of a time when you felt you were an embodiment of a value. So it's a story. What were the conditions or factors that enabled you to be an embodiment? So I'm just going to give you 5 minutes just to reflect on that. And Koshi, if you could just do the timer for me, that would be really nice. Thank you. So I should have asked you at the beginning if you've got a piece of paper and just reflect on that story. And I'm just going to share some music whilst we're doing that. Is everybody clear on the instructions? Does anybody need any clarification on the instructions? Okay, no clarification required. So once you've finished reflecting, if you can just type OK into the chat box. But before you do that, if you can just select everyone. I've been getting a lot of personal messages where I think that you're meaning to send it to everyone, but just tick everyone and then just put OK once you've done it. So I've got an idea of how much time we need.
Stephen Bhai, we've got about 2 minutes remaining on the timer.
Thank you very much, Koshi. Koshi, if you could just have the breakout rooms ready, please.
Sure, Anuben's working on that.
Okay. Okay, so I've got about 8 out of 42 OKs. Thank you. Okay.
We're done with our 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. So we're going to have our first breakout. There's going to be 3 or 4 people in your group. We're going to have 15 minutes for this exercise. And so I want you to tell your experience as a story. What was the situation? What were the actors? And how did you feel? But I don't want you to mention what the value was, because I want your colleagues that are in your group to listen to your stories, and at the end, I want the listeners to tell you what values was being expressed. There's no right or what's wrong, and at the end of it, you can tell them what values you had in mind. So what we're trying to do is just learn to listen and our vocabulary around our values. So I want you to tell the above as a story. What was the situation? Who were the actors? How did you feel? And I invite you to either take a screenshot of this or to take a photo of these instructions with your phone so that you've got them when you get into your group. After each of you have listened to each other's stories, so about 2 minutes each for each story, try and keep it brief. After listening to each other's stories, discuss what you thought were the conditions or factors that enabled or led you to being an embodiment of those values. What was the factors? What were the building blocks? It wouldn't have happened over just in one single day. What helped you become more patient? What helped you become more compassionate? What were the building blocks? And we're going to get each group to type their responses into what we call menti.com. And we're going to send this message to you. We'll put it up. I'll ask Koshi to put this, this web address and the password number into the chat box. And then we're going to ask you for each group just to enter their answers in the Menti, and it will have the question, and you'll be able to contribute as many factors as you like, but just one factor per answer. Press return and then enter another factor. So any questions on the instructions? Okay, don't worry too much. We're going to come around and visit you in your groups. There's no rights, wrongs, there's no failure. It's all about having fun and enjoying ourselves and going deep. Anu, if I can just ask you to, and I think everybody knows the drill. I don't think I need to explain about joining groups. Um, it's very different from 7 months ago when we had to give all the instructions, but I don't think I do now. So Anu, if you could just press go, and if everybody please join your groups, and we'll see you back here in about 15 minutes. And Koshi, if you could just do the timer on that, that'd be great.
Sure. So
Sure.
it's 15 minutes in the breakout room discussion. There are 10 rooms, and
Right.
you can see each one. You can see the name of your group on the top, like on the computer when you are in the breakout room. So no worries. It is good if you know which group you belong to, and then you will be automatically going there, and you will be brought back automatically. So enjoy the flight. So we can open. Good to open, Stephen.
Yes,
Brother?
please go. Welcome back. Thank you. My first question for you is, how difficult was it for you to identify the value in the story? Some people forgot that they had to keep the value a secret and mentioned it, but I'm just interested to how difficult or easy was it for you to identify the value in your partner's stories?
Om Shanti.
Yes.
It was actually very easy to identify the value while the partner was sharing the story. Actually picked up immediately as to what values were displayed.
Thank you, Raki. Any other thoughts? Not difficult at all from Rena. Thank you. Ashima, 80% easy. Thank you.
It was very touching experience, Stephen, especially Dr. Mehta his experience. And, he became too emotional. And once we started guessing his values, and that was even more emotional moment for him. He had tears and he was emotional then. He is emotional now. And it was very inspiring to listen to his story. Then we heard Sister Raki's story also. That was also very inspiring and a very content feeling for them as well as for us. So just that the time was less. We could hear only two stories.
Right. Thank you, Archana. Bina, you wanted to say
It,
something?
yes, it was easy to understand because in our group, one was from medical profession and they give lecture for how to bring stress and anxiety down. And I was from special needs department where I work with special need kids, those who are autistic and behavior and they're not able to express their feelings. So it was easy to understand.
Do you think it's because we're doing it and we have a vocabulary around values, it's easier for us when you reflect back on the VIHASA workshops and sessions that you've done initially? Do you think it's easy for people to identify the values?
I think, yes, it is because otherwise, like I'm sure most of the people, when they choose their profession, they go with certain values that if they have that capabilities. So that's why they choose that profession, right? I won't be able to do, suppose, nursing job because if I don't have understanding of patient's needs, right? And like the nurse would be able to do children's duty if they don't know how to connect with the child, inner child, to bring out the best in them, right? So I think it's we go with certain values only with such professions.
And that's a
Because we all
question.
are service demanding, and those services are not, and that cannot be bought by money or anything. Money, whatever you get, but if you don't give your 110% there, so you won't be happy. Because in my case, like child doesn't know what I'm doing with him, but I know as a grown up, as a teacher, as a mentor, what I'm doing for with him. So what is my moral commitment and responsibility, like why I'm here. So that we should not forget, that we have been chosen by for special services like this by God's grace. God has sent us there to help them out because we have a capability to do that. That's why.
Thank you, Vina. And my question is for everybody actually, and particularly those experienced VIHASA facilitators around. You could see that generally people were telling us it was easy to identify the values in the stories, but from your experience of facilitating when people are having conversations like this often for the first time, and how do you find that it's easy for them to identify the values that are being spoken?
Yes, can I share that? Yes, I feel surprised actually how deeply they understand this share. They realize the values. Yeah.
Any other thoughts?
Dr. Kiran Bala, you wanted to say something?
Identifying a value also reflects your own state of mind. The how close you are in those things, how much your value system is. If your value system is very high, I think you can identify the value in others also easily. Those who don't have uh, a high value system in their own life, maybe for them it is not easy to recognize or understand the values of others also.
Okay. So when you say not a high value system, you mean it's not fully in their consciousness? Because the VIHASA is bringing it into their awareness. The values are there.
Yeah. So they are not aware of it.
Yeah.
So they are not practicing them in their day-to-day life.
Okay. Thank you. And Ashima is saying it's not easy to pinpoint the exact value, and Jugha is also agreeing with Ashima on that point. What we're going to do now, thank you, and I'm sure that there was really amazing stories that came up. I'd just like to hear one or two stories before we go to the next. Is there anybody who would like to share the story that they heard? But you need to keep it in 60 seconds, condensed version of the story. It's for somebody who hasn't shared so far. Sujata, thank you.
Om Shanti, good morning to everyone. I'm sorry I joined late just before when you were doing the breakout room. So I really tried to figure out what is it that is expected. But I heard a very touching story which I need to share. I was with Rajeshwari Rao, and she's going through such a difficult life situation right now. She lost her son a few months, just 2 months or 3 months back, who's studying in IIT. I think Rajeshwari can correct me if I'm making any factual errors. And her father-in-law is admitted also in the hospital, very serious. She is a doctor with a COVID duty. I think she's also doing hospital duty with the COVID thing, and she's coming home. She's looking after two elderly people at home and other children. She cooks and she goes back, and she's been through so many life situations. And the value I saw was courage, responsibility. I mean, there are multiple other values that one can actually figure out, but these two were two that stood out starkly. And it's great. I think it is, she said that it's Baba's Murlis that are giving her the strength to, keep to the values and keep remembering the values and how to use them.
Thank you. Thank you. Lovely story. And I'm sure that there was many powerful stories, and that leads nicely, Sujata, that you were talking about what the factors were, the contributing factors. And I'm just going to share with you now our mentee and some of the things that you said. And these are the things, conditions or factors that helped you be an embodiment of values, yoga and understanding of the values, and complete resolution and dedication to implement the same. Also observing fellow people who embody the same has inspired me. Yep, okay, lovely. Selfless service is a foundation for me. Happiness is a foundation. Acceptance is a foundation. Accuracy is a foundation. Loveful nature and selfless service. So selfless service is coming up. Faith and love for God and focused attention on goals. Having the thought that I'm an actor, it's a drama, I'm doing my role and doing my duty sincerely is a foundation. Having courage, confidence and sincerity has been my foundations. Good wishes for the sake of service itself. Honesty, parents and teachers, upbringing, compassion, dedication to see everyone comfortable and happy. So we've got understanding, we've got commitment coming up a few times, forgiveness, peace, positivity, stability, acceptance is coming up quite a number of times. COVID situation, nurse just wanted to talk, some who could listen to her stress and agony of being left out and lonely. So I remained as a detached observer, listening and sending her the vibrations of peace. So it's lovely, lots of different things that you've identified, being gentle with the self and others, accommodation, and I'm sure you're reading these yourself, understanding the reward of using the value, very interesting. Practice of meditation and of feeling, being a trustee, valuing myself, trust as lived life with trust that all is benevolent. Trying the new ways of working, being more mature, wait and see more, and accepting. Okay, lovely. What helped, being non-judgmental and empathetic, deep desire to help and make a difference to a boy's life. Patience, focusing on the higher purpose. Unable to seek help from friends and family, I've left no option to do it myself and take care of everything around me. Led me to being courageous. Lovely, lovely. So from the conversations that you had and from these different factors, what's coming up in your mind for you? Is there anything that surprised you or anything that's inspired you from the stories that you're seeing and the different factors that have helped you become an embodiment of values? So if you want to speak, it'd be nice to hear from those people that haven't spoken yet. Just raise your hand or just take off your phone off off unmute. Bye, Prabha. Thank you for joining us. You're having to leave. Thank you.
Sister Deepa is wanting to speak.
Thank you,
I
Deepa.
think it's very inspiring to see how much every soul has potential to really be able to live their highest level of that value, create that environment where others also inspired, touched by that, and they can heal. So many stories we can hear how every soul has the potential to touch the highest level of that value which we see. So when I'm listening, I feel that value is within me, but in the soul it is at the highest level. So I need to learn. So that's very inspiring.
Lovely, thank you. Geeta, did you want to say something?
Yeah, actually, I just wanted to share my story, and I'll just take 60 seconds. About 15 days back, we were having dinner, and as soon as we got up, my husband collapsed. So that was a moment, it's a very, very decisive moment, and I have to take action very quickly. So immediately I summoned the physician. He was sort of semi-conscious. His BP was low, and we had to take a decision as to what to do. So first we said ECG to be done. So immediately I summoned the ECG people, and they came. And physician came and said it doesn't look like a CIA or a heart attack. So what he need, this is probably a prolonged vasovagal attack. So then he was hospitalized overnight, and he became all right. But at that time, I think I just kept my head up. That was one thing I remember.
Lovely, thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Geeta. And so the value that I've noticed in your story, and anybody else can speak up, is courage, because you said that you kept your head up. Thank you.
Brother, I think best value silence and listening.
Sorry, can you say that again, please, Chitra?
Yes. Silence and hearing, listening is the best value, good value the life. I have one story. I think everyone is here very well. I know, no. Usually when I take the class course, anything for individual person, I won't talk anything. Basically, I'm talkative person, but when I giving the Baba's knowledge, that time I won't talk anything in front of the candidate, in front of any other person. I just keep quiet and just I am listening the what he is saying. So finally they will say, sister, now I'm very free now, but I don't give any solution for them, but they feel just I am listening. So listening is the one of the quality, one of the value, I feel it.
So I'm just returning to the question about the different factors that you identified that contribute to you being an embodiment of values. If you can remember some of those things, acceptance was mentioned a lot. What were some of the things? Was there anything that stuck in your mind as well? Manoj, I'll ask you to, what's standing out for you?
Yeah, someone is speaking. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Ram Kumar?
Stephen, Stephen. We heard many stories of courage, and which are really inspiring. The one question that pops out in my mind is, do you prepare for courage, or you just exhibit courage at that moment when the situation presents itself?
Yeah, what does everybody think? Because it's the question that we're asking about what are the foundations, and the purpose of the question is to help us to think what were the things that I did that got me to that state, because often we don't reflect on that, and we don't realize what were the building blocks that got us to having that courage. Ina, you're raising your hand.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a love.
Rajesh. Yeah.
It's the love for the humanity and kindness, which we have been born with. To that moment you get some kind of introspection from inside you. Look inside. You said this is not, either you can flight or you can fight. So then you realize, don't give up, just fight, because we are born to do that. Everybody is born with such intent. Baba has created us in such intentions to work to help the humanity to go through this.
Did you say somebody else was there, Manoj?
Yeah, Rajeshwari was wanting to comment. Rajeshwari, please go ahead. Yeah.
Thank you, Rajeshwari.
Yeah, good morning to everyone. Just I wanted to say commitment, dedication and sincerity to your work. Either it is your personal or professional. That will make everything.
So your
you will get a lot of courage. That is my experience. That will give you a lot of courage. Be sincere whatever the duty you are doing and practice it.
And I just invite you to be aware, because what I'm trying to do is role model some facilitation here as well. Because often we will have lots of people communicating, and we're trying to engage different people and reflecting back to what they're saying. So every opportunity we have like this is an opportunity to reflect on what facilitation is and what facilitation isn't. So we're meant to be breaking, I think, is it, what time is it there now? Just remind me, is it 11:25?
11:24.
Yeah.
Okay, lovely. So because this was a 3-hour session, we wanted to give you 10 minutes to get up and go to the toilet, and I think it's maybe chai time. So if you'd like to do that, then please go ahead. What we'll just do is we're just going to continue discussing this, and then at 11:35 we'll go into the next session. So this is the time if you need to go to the bathroom, you need to get a drink of water, you can do that, but we're just going to continue the conversation. Is that okay, Manoj?
I would like to take your leave. It's 1 o'clock it's I think almost 1 o'clock in Toronto. I'm from
That's
Toronto.
fine,
So
Meena sister. No problem. That's fine.
thank you
Thank you.
so much. It was a pleasure to be with you guys. Om Shanti.
Good night and good morning.
Good night, everybody. Good night.
Okay.
Thanks,
So we'll
Anupam.
see you by.
Yeah.
So we'll see you by 11:35. Yeah, 10 minutes.
Yeah, but if anybody, I'm here, I'm staying here, if anybody would like to continue to discuss that. And I just invite you just to stay in the meeting, but just go off and get your drink and do anything. Is there anybody else that hasn't spoken yet? I see that Kalpana Ben is there from, she was there. I'm not sure if she's still there. Yeah, there, I can see you, Kalpana. Any of your thoughts? That would be lovely. I did see Matilda there, Ben, Sister Matilda, Sister Madaji, if you're there, I'd love to be hearing your thoughts.
I think she was there, but she left.
Yeah, I can see
She
her.
is
She's still
there. I
there.
can see her.
Oh, okay.
I can see Kalpana as well. So, Anu, what are your thoughts about that conversation? Was there anything that surprised you?
No, nothing surprised me. I always enjoyed and I learned a lot. I think what was coming to my mind, that what makes me become embodiment is, I think, not feeling good about it afterwards. Like I may react negatively and it stays with me with very negative feeling. And I think that's what makes me alert, aware in situations to just keep quiet. So that's tolerance.
Lovely. And I know, Dr. Mehta, you're potentially going to have to leave us in 3 minutes' time or close to that. What are your thoughts about what emerged in that conversation?
Can you repeat the question, Stephen Bhai?
Yes, for Dr. Ashok Mehta, what are your thoughts in what emerged in that conversation about what are the foundations that enable us to be an embodiment of our values?
You have to unmute Dr. Mehta.
The question I understood is that what made me what I am. Am I right?
No, it was about from the conversation that we've just been having.
Yeah.
What stood out for you about our conversation around what are the foundation stones? What are the building blocks?
I think it's the honesty and the good observing power.
Good observing power.
And of course, a kind of dedication that we have towards the values. All of us are trying to imbibe those high qualities and high quality values. So I think it's openness that we have in this group to learn from each other, and of course, whatever values each one exhibits is something that also is a lesson to others.
Yeah, and that came up is that one of my foundation stones is being inspired by other people living their values. Yeah, lovely. Thank you.
So Dr. Sonali is saying that my thoughts from the conversation were, it's being mindful of the situation, being detached and accepting, and vibrate values immediately.
Yeah. And sorry, Deepa, I think Ram Kumar was asking a very good question, and that was around, does that courage happen just automatically, or is there a lead up to that courage? And that's been the whole design of this particular part of the workshop, was to help us to think, what have been the building blocks that have made me more compassionate, that have made me more patient, that have made me more accepting? It just hasn't happened overnight. Yes, Deepa, Ben.
I feel that I personally am inspired by my best version or my higher version, where maybe at a spiritual level, Baba sees us as that perfect form as a deity. But then I see myself at a higher version, and then being that I am inspired, and when I see that higher version in others also, I feel that I am version. So then that helps me to again strengthen my inner values which are there. So I have courage, but not to that potential. So
So
then it helps strengthen.
yeah. So it's an ongoing process.
Yes.
It's a combination of all of the things that we've been discussing. Yeah, lovely. Yep. It'd be really nice to hear from different people. We've got 36 people in the room, so to speak. There's no sense of that you're in India and I'm in Australia. We're all in the same room. It'd be lovely to hear from some more people. What about you, Ashima? What has been your experience so far and your thoughts?
I felt that over a period of time in the life, I have encountered, or maybe everybody encounters the same kind of situations, which is demanding to imbibe some value. So it makes you learn to do that.
So you're
So
saying situations arising
yeah,
helps you go deeper.
yeah, and when I understand that what benefit I will gain from imbibing that value, and everything will become easy, and I I'm able to make things simple, and it will not become complex, or the situation is not worsen, and I'm not put into more difficulty if I use that value. Then it's easy, and I can then focus on some higher purpose and uh, allow my peace of mind. And so I understood that it's being wise to use this value. And then I started using, and when you start using it, then you get that sense of courage that yes, this is good for you, so keep going.
So it's that being conscious of the value that you're using increases the value of that value.
Yeah, and also what is helping and how it is helping me to then focus on something very good rather than just engaging or entangling in the negativity or the situation, or just cribbing or blaming someone. Let me take the ownership, and so that I'm able to focus on something higher.
Lovely, thank you. Thank
And
you so
contribute
much.
and rise to a new level, and do something else rather than just entangling in the same situation again and again.
Okay. Dr. Sachin,
Yeah.
lovely to hear from you.
Yeah. Good morning.
Good morning.
See, with my experience, what I see most important is present moment awareness, staying in the moment and keeping your antennas open. Uh, why I'm saying this? Because in my experience, as Sister Deepa has said, my personal experience is Baba is using us. There is one word we use: spontaneous right action, SRA. Spontaneous right action emerges when we are in the present moment awareness. And since last 10 days or so, I'm experiencing this. I kept a target of continuous meditation, like connecting to the Baba. So we say the word Nirantar Yoga. So in Nirantar Yoga, what I realize, I'm in the moment all the time. Earlier, as my experience in corporate is, we think too much of the future. We call planning. So when we are planning, we lose the focus of the present. So that created anxiety in me. But after maintaining this consciousness of present moment awareness, what I realized, things are happening automatically and the spontaneous right action emerges. And I was very happy to see that there are a lot of studies on this, and they use the word what they call it, present moment awareness or some other word they are using. Sorry?
Mindfulness, is it? Mindfulness?
Mindfulness. Mindfulness, I think.
So mindfulness studies are emerging on the net, but I am feeling this is happening automatically. When we maintain that chart of connecting to Baba, and then that story, values they emerge. As you are rightly said, we are in that cycle continuously ongoing. So which values require at what moment, that comes automatically. That I am experiencing, and that has led to the new service in IIT Bombay where I work now. So a new chapter of service has started. That was my story which I shared in the group. So I feel present moment awareness is very important, and that present moment awareness, the values emerge automatically.
Thank you, Dr. Sachin. It's lovely. Lots of food for thought in our conversation, and it's interesting. What we've been doing is a couple of things. Before I think we're now back into our. Everybody should be back from their morning tea. I think it's 11:35. Is that right, Manoj?
Yes, it is. It's 11:36 actually.
11:36. Okay. Yeah, right. I'm trying to calculate from Queensland, Brisbane time to Indian time. So so there's a couple of things that we've been doing. From a facilitative point of view, we've been using the power of stories. And this is what we do in VIHASA, is that we're eliciting stories. Yep. And you noticed when we were in a group and we were telling stories, I would tell one story and it would trigger a story. And then somebody else would tell another story and it would trigger another story. And that's what we do in VIHASA, is that we're triggering stories. And so one thing is that we're about the telling of the stories, and we're creating a space, which is what we're hosting the stories. How we're hosting to a safe environment for people to feel vulnerable, to be able to share those beautiful stories that have been shared this morning. And then in this breakout room, in this debriefing, is what we've been doing by asking the question around what were the conditions and factors that helped you be an embodiment of values. We were making sense of those stories. So we were telling and hosting at the same time, and then we were converging all of those divergent ideas down into, let's make some sense of that. So really invite you to keep those, because that's part one. We're talking about the foundations that have enabled us to be an embodiment of those values. And now we're going to go into the second part of our reflections and diving deep. So we've talked about what are the foundations that enabled us to be an embodiment of those values. But we also need to be real. There are moments in which we are not an embodiment of those values. And it may have happened today even. It may have happened yesterday. It may have happened once. It may have happened many times. But there are opportunities for learning as much as when we're an embodiment of those values. So I'm just going to ask you to just reflect gently and softly, and to think of a time when you felt you did not live up to your values. It doesn't need to be so serious, but there's small micro moments where we don't live up to our full potential, as Deepa said, that we're not being the best versions of ourselves. What were the conditions or factors that contributed you to not being the best version of yourself? You know, it may have been that you didn't get so much sleep, or it may have been, as Dr. Sachin, I got into the planning. I got too much into the planning and I wasn't in the present moment awareness. So I'm just going to play some music and just invite you to reflect on your own. And again, Kosha, if you could just do the timing for me on that. So think of a time when you felt you did not live up to your values, where you were not the best version of yourselves. And what was the conditions or factors that contributed to you not being the best version of yourself? When you're finished your reflection, if you could just type OK into the chat box. And just make sure you select everyone when you reply OK, please. Thank you. It looks like everybody's finding it quite easy to find situations where they were not an embodiment of their values.
Hello. Hello. Can I talk now?
Yes. What would you like to say?
Yeah. I just have to narrate an incident
Okay,
where I lost.
we're going to do that in breakout rooms. So I'll just get you to hold that for your breakout room, and I'll just give you the instructions, and then we're going to do that in breakout rooms.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So again, tell what we're going to invite you to do over the next 15 minutes is to tell what the situation was, who the actors was, how did you feel, but really be conscious about the time it takes to tell your stories. So, you know, really keep it under 2 minutes so that you've got enough time to really dive into the next question is what you thought were the conditions or factors that contributed you not being the best version of yourself. And so we're going to ask you to go back to Menti. I'm going to enact that question. And so you'll be able to go in just as you did before and type your answers to that question, or what were the conditions or factors that led you to not being an embodiment of your values. So it's the reverse of our first question, where it was being the embodiment, and now we're looking at those factors that contributed us not being the embodiment of our values. So I invite you again just to take a screenshot or a photo with your camera of these instructions. And we'll send that Menti address and the password again in the chat.
Stephen, our 5-6 minutes are up for personal reflection. So if you feel, we can go into our breakout rooms now.
Yeah, thank you. So the question is about what are the contributing factors. Think of a time, which is what you've been doing, when you felt you did not live up to your values, where you were not the best version of yourself, and what was the conditions or factors that contributed to you not being the best version of yourself. So is there any questions on the instructions? Anu, if you can just be ready to put everybody in the breakout rooms, that would be great.
Yeah, breakout rooms are ready.
Okay, so you've got 15 minutes. Really ask you to be conscious with respect to keep your stories to 2 minutes, so you've got plenty of time, and then using the Menti at the end to put your thoughts in the Menti. So what we're asking you, people are starting to put their answers in the Menti. Leave your answers till you've had your discussions with your groups.
Yeah, the Menti and the password is put on the chat box. You can note that, and we'll also send you in the broadcast.
So Anu, if you can break them up into the breakout group.
They're still coming back,
They're
Stephen
still
brother.
coming back, yeah.
Okay. Manoj, shall I do just a little quick meditation here?
Yeah, you could go ahead. I don't know, my internet connection is a bit unstable. I think you just carry on, no problem.
No, you will be there. I will be there. If it's unstable, I will follow. No problem. But what we'll do is people are still coming back.
They're now
Yeah,
in.
okay.
All of them are in. Yeah, 33.
All of
yeah.
them in. Terrific. Okay, thank you. So before Manoj leads us in the just sort of reflecting and making sense of our conversations, I'm just going to, I'm not going to play any music. I'm just going to do a short meditation commentary, just an opportunity to take stock of our learnings, of our observations that we've had so far from this discussion, this conversation. And just really connect to your inner rhythm, the frequency of your wisdom. Just really sense how you're feeling right now. What new feelings are emerging for you around values? What new feelings are emerging for you around the foundations for staying true to your values? What new understandings are emerging for you around spiritual facilitation? And just allow them to bubble up into your subconscious. Allow yourself to sense your wisdom at work. Your mind, your intellect, your subconscious working together to engage, emerge your innermost potential. So just hold on to those new understandings, those new feelings, those new realizations. And I'll just ask Dr. Manoj just to lead us in this conversation as we make sense of the stories that emerged for you and what were some of the contributing factors that started to come out. Over to you, Dr. Manoj.
Okay, thank you, Brother Stephen. So yeah, all set. So we are ready for your stories to be heard and even for the contributing factors. Though you put it on the Menti, but we would want a few of y'all to share. So if I can just start with those people who haven't shared so far at all. So I think it is the well-being department. I think it's Kalpana Ben from Global Hospital. Kalpana Ben, you want to share something about this?
Yes, yes,
Thank you.
sure. Thank you. Thank you for asking me. Actually, we were discussing Deepaven and Ashwin Bhai that sometimes we knowingly or unknowingly show some of the weaknesses in our actions. And yeah, we realized that later on that I haven't kept up to the values and I have to improve myself. With the realization, we try to change ourselves and we improve in our actions. And we discussed that yes, we need to have check on ourselves continuous and do the efforts to get the certificate from the colleagues with whom we are working together. They should recognize that we are improving and we are using values in our actions and we are embodiment of that value we should get certificate. Again, we should have the self analysis, um, self awareness that yes, I'm improving in my actions and behavior in using this value which I couldn't use last time. So yes, this was the discussion we had. From everybody's experience, what we have learned is to continuously making efforts to improve using and being embodiment of the values in actions. So we call it a practical meditation. Like we practice meditation and we practice concentration. We try to receive values. We experience value whilst meditating, but we practice value whilst we are acting. So yes, that's what we discussed in our group.
Thank you, sister. So good you all got out this point that self-analysis leads to self-improvement. It's very important. And do you feel there were any surprises which you felt during the conversation with each other? Any surprises you had? Maybe someone else. Swati, sister wants to share something? Or Dr. Aravindan? Either of y'all? Yeah, Swati, go ahead. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
So I think I was just contemplating this particular thing is that, when the previous exercise was there, I was actually taking a few moments to really think about a moment where I've really done better and perform an embodiment of value. But when then second exercise came where you are not able to perform your best, so there were so many stories. So I don't know, this is something for that moment I was inherently able to recognize that for some reason we are able to, in our memory, our negative or some sort of a situations, they stays for the much more longer time compared to something where we are really achieved and where we are really able to perform our best. So that was a surprise for me, I think, in these two exercises as a contrast, and that's what I really wanted to put ahead.
Very true. We all agree with you because the negative things we hold on for a long time. We know our weakness is much more. So that was indeed a surprise for me as well. That's great. Anyone else wants to say? Neeraj Maheshwari, you had joined later. You want to share something? Neeraj? Yeah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Manoj. Actually, I joined later, so I missed some previous part. But I shared with Asima Didi about my story, and it was a great opportunity that I could share something which was in my mind. I was not getting any platform, so it was, I would say, it was an opportunity to be here. So I realized, being honest on my part, I told her about the situation which I'm going through, and after telling her, I felt light, and I am feeling good right now.
Do you mind sharing the story? Is that okay? Because we want to hear one of the stories. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. So it was my my family story. I lived with my brother family as a joint family for some period of time, and I gave him proposal to be with me. He was staying in another city, and past 6 months his family is with my family. So there is some uh, no, there's not any balanced situation for some time when I got angry on on his kids due to some wrongdoings, and my expectations was some with my uh, bhabi also. Uh, so I didn't feel that it was uh, I was what I was expecting. I got the same. So it was my anger, uh, and it was not my best version actually. I would say due to my expectations.
Right. Thank you. Thank you, Neeraj.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyone else wants to share something about surprises? Dr. Aravindan, you want to share something?
Uh, Good afternoon, Dr. Manoj. I actually joined late. I couldn't, attend properly. I was on and off.
Okay. We have divine healers. Divine healers. I don't know who that is. Yeah, and so in the meantime, let us look at the mentee. Thank you, Stephen, for displaying this. So I'll just read out for you, not letting go of the assumptions, over-analysis before experiencing. Then everyone has got this point very well. Expectations are the number one thing which lead to your negative things. Feeling insecure and again assumptions. Jumping to conclusions due to referring to the past experiences. So we become very judgmental and we start concluding on people's behavior. Next is when someone lies or puts allegations, I feel hurt, angry, and revengeful, but with churning of law of karma, I settle it down immediately. The reason I'm not at my best is because of the past image of that person or the actions of that person which interfere. Beautiful. So you have to look at the karmic theory. Making a ring, I don't know what the word is, lack of communication, feeling pressure to respond quickly, attachment and being judgmental, yeah, that came out again, anger and humiliation, a feeling of not being respected, again, judgmental attitude about the person which interferes with being the best version of myself. I think that is the rocking anti-value, being judgmental. It becomes difficult to forgive and forget others because these files are continuously triggered by the same people as they are staying with me. I can't avoid them. So it's a repetitive behavior, right? Not being detached from the situation, becoming too entangled in rescuing the self and forget my state of mind. The result is ego, so unable to understand the other person's situation due to attachment, very possessive about the person and trying to control their behavior. Next is expectations from others when their behavior doesn't meet our standards. Moral dilemmas that lead to clashes and upset of mood. I feel I'm deviating from my inner stability and feel a dilution of my core values. Wow, that's really beautiful. Diluting your core values. Hurry, sickness, carelessness are two brief sentences. Next is continuous checking and change with the realization are necessary. So as we hear in the Murlis as well, check and change. Not only checking, but also to change helps. Efforts to get the certificate from the colleagues that you showing values in your personality is important, right? So we need to get this certificate from people around whom we are working with. Lot of task or service, but unable to complete the task as expected. So that time I lose my values soon. Service barrier cannot minimize. Everyone is expecting from me and unable to fulfill. Unable to fulfill maybe my expectations. So what do I do? How do I act without losing my values? Very practical. I think it may be at service, BK service, a very good point which has been got out. Not being content with the situation, with lack of gratitude and unable to accept. Again, being judgmental and revolving around the issue, revolving around self, not stopping escalation, not being able to prioritize thoughts and actions. And last is due to a lot if multiple services unable to fulfill my task. Again, there are too many services on your conscious layer of the mind, so you're not able to fulfill all of them. So I lose my values, maybe anger, judgmental, impatient. What I want to do, I don't know, and how I act on that at that moment. Yeah, so thank you, Stephen, brother. It was nice mentee contributing factors. Any, I don't know how much we are on the time. Maybe one of you can share the surprises which you all felt. One of you already said surprises. Any surprises which you had during the conversation? Anyone?
Can I share that, Manoj bhai?
Yeah, go ahead, Rakhi. Yeah.
So the surprise that I saw was, it is very easy to say that you're an embodiment of values, but when the real situation hits in, everything goes on a toss. And when you come out of that situation, you ask a question to yourself, आप कैसे दो चेहरे वाले हो सकते? How can be you be two-sided as the same person, you know? So that was a surprise for me, that one way we are so positive, and the other way you come up with such the entire dirty linen has been seen there.
Very good and beautiful, particularly when you tell me in the morning to read the Murli and I read it and I say, oh, Baba's saying I'm a deity, and then I realize, oh, I'm not a deity at all. I'm worse than a devil as well.
Absolutely.
So how do you be perfect? It's a beautiful, honest answer. Thank you for getting this out, because even I face this very often when I go for doing a kidney biopsy and the resident there knows what I want but doesn't do accordingly. I really get this frustration, irritation inside. So and then I say, oh, Baba, really, am I a DT? I don't feel like I'm a DT at all. So there you are. Thanks. It's a beautiful thing where we don't stick on to that.
Sujata?
Yeah, go ahead, Sujata.
Sorry. So the surprise was that when I was reflecting, I realized that most of the problems of not being able to hold on to values were issues revolving around moral dilemmas. You know, when you are trying to be the best version and the world around you is not, and you have to deal with people who often violate your own sense of moral, you know, correctness, right and wrong. And I think that is the real challenge, that while we are trying to imbibe and be an embodiment, we are every day in conflict with the world around us, which is so, which has become what it is. So I think the challenge is, how do we still hold on, and how do we, because you know, you have to lie for other people, you have to cover up, you're not being honest at times, you have to bend backwards to do some things which you're not supposed to, and you know all that. And I think the surprise is that there are so many moral dilemmas around, and holding on to values is difficult.
Yeah, thank you, Sujata sister. And last, before I pass it on to you, Stephen Bhai, because time is up, Dr. Sonali says that while reflecting on a lot of situations, it popped up that she was surprised to know that there are so many situations in life where we are not an embodiment of value. So as pointed out right before that, it's very common to be not an embodiment of values. We have to think when we have to be an embodiment. It's very easy without being an embodiment of values otherwise. Okay. Stephen, over to you.
As rightly said by you, Manoj bhai, it's like a default mode of yours that shows up every time.
Thank you. Yes.
Kiran Bala, yeah, Dr.
Yes,
Kiran
Kiran.
Bala, you were saying
I
something.
strongly agree what Dr. Sujata has brought out. It's a moral dilemma. The whole day when you are working in such an environment, especially for people who are in government sector, I'm not very sure about private sector also, it's corporate sector, doctors, paramedicals, it's a real dilemma. People are not working up to their mark, they are not doing their duties, they are not honest, they are not realizing your values. So they think that you are something very different, you are trying to pretend probably. So it's really a moral dilemma, and it's very, very difficult to stick to your values.
Thank you.
It's a
Thank
big
you very
challenge.
much. Thank you, Dr. Kiran. It's a really fascinating conversation, and we'll reflect a little bit more about what your realizations have been as a result of this conversation. And most of you know that I was in Mount Abu working at Global Hospital up till November of last year. And I've been in private practice as a consultant for the last 12 months, and that's taken me to Thailand before I came back to Australia, working with the Thai Public Health Foundation and working with some drug and alcohol hospitals there. And when I was working there, you know, I've been working with VIHASA for 13 years. And I had the opportunity to present the values to the Board of Management. So there was every single senior manager in the hospital in the room, plus they were online. And I felt like I needed a new way to stimulate them about the power and the importance of values and the importance of having conversations around values. Because I think what we've demonstrated today is that we've gone on a journey. We've started with what are the foundations around values. We explored how easy it was for us to uncover, emerge those values, those moments where we felt we were being embodiment of those values. But equally easy to identify all of those moments where those moral dilemmas that has been mentioned, where we weren't the embodiment of it. And so what I've realized is that it's the constant process of having conversations within our organizations, within our communities, within our families about the values that brings them to life. And that's been the purpose of this conversation. I've been having a lot of conversations with leaders around the world around values, and one particular person is by the name of Dr. Mary Gentili, and she's the director and creator of a program called Giving Voice to Values. She has trained and taught this program in 1,200 business schools across the world, including India. And what they were discovering was that it's not that people didn't have the values inside of them, but it's the actual skills of rehearsing of what to do and how to get through to bring that value to life. You know, the situations that Dr. Kiran Bala that was talking about, where there's lack of truthfulness and lack of honesty. And what they found was that the process of actually rehearsing what to do increase the chances of those values actually being enacted within their organizations. So what we were endeavoring to do today was to start the journey and to help emerge some realizations around the foundation stones and the building blocks with respect to values. And we're in the last 35 minutes of our retreat. We're going to create some opportunity at the end of this for us to reflect about our experience in the last short while. What we're going to do now is that we're going to think collectively. So we've talked about the foundations for diving deep and being more connected to our values. But what I'm going to ask you to do, we're going to break you up into groups of 6. And we're going to ask you, bringing all of the things that we've discussed, and bring it together and create a 2-minute meditation commentary. So you're going to have 6 people in your group. Using your experiences, you're going to create a meditation commentary. This is for you. This is for you to help you connect more strongly and more deeply to your values, being aware of those moments, those dilemmas where you things go a little bit pear-shaped. So using those things around gratitude and acceptance, the different things that you identified, and we'll use those to create a meditation commentary. So what we're going to do is that when you come back from your group, and we're going to be giving you, what's the time now, Manoj? Sorry, I have to keep asking. But
It's 12:28.
Yeah.
It's 12:28.
12:28.
Okay, so you're going to have 12 minutes to have your conversation and create your 2-minute meditation commentary. Then you need to select somebody who's going to give that meditation commentary. And we're going to go sequentially. I think that your groups are given beautiful names, but we're going to go, I think it's group number 1, some appreciative angels, group number 2 or whatever, and then we'll just go by number wise. The number 1 will do their commentary, and just sequentially, without us having to ask you, number 2 will be ready and they'll do your meditation commentary. So it'll be this sequential process where we've created a big meditation commentary. So before we break out, before I get Anu to break us into those groups, I'm just going to ask you, are those instructions clear? Do you need any clarification on those instructions of the task that is asked of you? Yes, Kalpana, you've raised your hand. Kalpana from Global Hospital First, if you'd just like to, your question of clarification.
Sujata Ben has also raised her hand.
Okay,
physically.
please go Sujata whilst we're waiting for Kalpana. Thank you.
Okay. I just want to know what should be the essence of that comment? What should be the key concept or around which we should build the commentary?
Thank you for asking that question. The key concept is around building depth around our values. Keeping in mind when we did the mentees of what are all of the foundation stones, and also when we had the conversation where we had pear-shaped, there was also foundation stones in there. There was acceptance, lack of acceptance, getting caught up in the situation, gratitude. So using all of those things that have emerged in the conversations, use that to form the basis of a meditation commentary, which is just to help us to connect and go forward in strength, living the best version of ourselves. Any other questions? Okay. All right, we'll come around and visit you. So Anu, if you can send everybody to the breakout rooms, that would be great.
Ready for 12 minutes, yes. So,
yeah, 10 minutes now. I've been speaking a bit, so yeah.
10 minutes? You want 10 minutes? Okay.
10 minutes.
Okay, opening the rooms.
Thank you. Everybody just to go into the depths of what's an experience and take the power of the collective values consciousness that is with us today. So Fragrant Flowers, we invite you to share with us your meditation commentary, please.
Dr. Priyanka is going to do the meditation on behalf of our group.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, sister. Can I start now?
Yes, please. Priyanka.
Is that Fragrant Flower group?
It's about 2 minutes meditation, na? It's of 2 minutes only. Okay, thank you.
You can see the flowers behind, so it's good plants.
Let's start with ourselves, sitting in the lap of beautiful nature. Let's go deep inside and see the values which are just within me. First of all, I accept that I am unique and I am special. And I also accept that each one which are around me in my all relationships, whether in work, in hospitals, my family, They all are very, very unique. I accept them as they are. As the Supreme Godfather, forgive my all mistakes and my all different weaknesses. I also forgive the mistakes of other people and their different behavior, either it is rejection, either it is complaint, competition, or criticism. These all are just the milestones for me. I have to accept it, and I have to empower myself more and more, because I have the power, and I have the power of forgiveness. Forgiveness is the healing factor for me. Just go deep breathing. Just release all hurts which I either felt in my past, and feel the clean air, the clean mind inside. Now this clean air is just full of God's love, happiness, and bliss. It's my choice of thinking. It's my way of life. Just accept, accept, and accept, and enjoy. Thank you so much, and blessings to the whole world, nature, the whole animal kingdom, and the whole souls of different religions, and the whole souls of different parts of world. Thank you.
Thank you. I think that was Faithful Friends. So now we'll ask Fragrant Flowers. And when it comes to 2 minutes, I'm just going to the balloting. So if you can just keep it to the 2 minutes, thank you very much. So Fragrant Flowers, who's going to be doing for Fragrant Flowers, please? Apuva, Ashwin, Chitra, Maheshwari, Raki, Reshmi.
Reshmi Ben is taking up the meditation.
Thank you, Reshmi. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Sit back and relax. I, the soul, the child of the highest authority, chosen by the Supreme for a great divine task from the rest of 8 crores population. So my primary duty, my main objective is to be honest with myself, with my Father. No matter what, I will always be honest with myself and Father. Honesty is the foundation to drive through any other value. Honesty gives me the courage to accept myself graciously in spite of having my mistakes. Baba, bestow upon me every day the treasures of peace, love, knowledge. My level of honesty decides and depicts how much I can receive from my Father. Baba, may I always be true to myself and with you. I may operate through honesty in my every thought, word, and action and interaction with the world. No matter, doesn't matter at all if I lose some material, success, facilities, comforts for establishing honesty, but I would always prefer to live up to this value of honesty at every moment. Om Shanti. Om Shanti. Om Shanti.
Thank you, fragrant flowers. And now on to the peaceful parrots. BK Deepa, Ram Kumar, and Rajeshwari Ramakrishna Palanismi. Who's going to do the commentary, please?
Ramkumar Pai is going to do the comments.
Thank you.
As I think about the past 2.5 hours that I've been investing for me, I become more aware about myself. Being judgmental, going on the basis of assumptions, has been the largest of pitfalls that we have all have encountered. I have failed to watch my thoughts as they transform into words and actions. I fail to become aware of the thoughts coming out of me as words, sounds. Now, with me being completely aware of myself, I connect back to my roots. This connection makes me to be more open-minded, accepting and welcoming. I become more conscious of the thoughts as they transform into words, as words not useful or better not stated. Whenever I feel hurried or forced by the situations, I resolve that I, I'll take a minute's pause and respond to the situation rather than react. Om Shanti.
Thank you. Truthful teams, Karnika, Vasant and Niraj, who will be doing the commentary, please.
Om Shanti. Now we come to ourselves in the state of relaxations with a small smile on the face. I am feeling peaceful. I am focusing on inhale. Air is going inside to my body with all positivity. This sense of positivity is fulfilling my cells, and I am becoming more and more relaxed, and there is a tension on myself. This relaxation is the gateway of my values. Their love and peace are everywhere. With this inhalation, positivity and oxygen is going in my entire body, reaching to my heart, going to my organs, and negativity is going outside of my body. Now I am feeling fulfilled with the source energy. I am the embodiment of my values and feeling like a child doing everything without any judgment and playing in the park with the swings, and I am coming and coming and coming to other souls and feeling their blessings. Om Shanti.
Thank you, truthful teams and mighty minds, Ashima, Divani, Arvind, Dr. Kiran, Swati, Kalpana, who will be doing your
Shanti.
commentary.
Yeah, I'll be doing.
Thank you, Ashima.
Om Shanti. As I go on the journey of life, I have collected a lot of baggages, going through different situations, being with people from different backgrounds, facing challenges, had many good and not so good experiences. So gently, I take off these baggages and make myself light. I go back where I started the journey, when I was very pure. I touch base with the innocence and the clean mind. Here I feel very secure and safe. I feel I'm embodiment of love, acceptance, contentment, and compassion. From this inner core space where I'm secure and safe, I see that how everyone is playing their accurate role on this world drama stage. Even I see my own story and my role as a detached being. That gives me strength to accept whatever has happened up till now on this journey. And I'm able to equally easily accept and forgive others. I see everyone as an actor, an innocent. I'm able to trust life, that it will bring me whatever I need. Om Shanti.
Thank you, everyone. I'm quite spellbound by the depth of the meditation commentaries. I'm going to ask for your permission. It is now 2 minutes past 1 o'clock in India. We said that we would finish at 1 o'clock, but I thought that the meditation commentaries was a great place to finish our journey today, but I want to have your permission to continue for another 8 minutes until 10 past 1. Is that okay? If you can just give a show of hands and use the reactions.
Sure.
Great, all right. So think about the journey that we've gone on today. Thank you everybody for your thumbs up, really appreciate it. Think about the journey we've gone on. Think about where we started. What are our objectives? Going through and looking at the foundations for when we're an embodiment of values. Then we looked at the flip side of the situations where we weren't the embodiment of our values. And there was conversation and there was discussion that was thrown into the mix as we went along. And as was so beautifully said with in the last commentary, was about our own stories is a big part of that, and that's what we were listening to, was our stories. And then we finished it with a VIHASA tool, which is meditation, where you had to create. So now I just want to hear about your overall experiences of the whole journey, your experiences of creating your own meditation commentary, of listening to the meditation commentary. Yeah, it's over to you. Just raise your hand if you'd like to share. So Ashima, thank you. And then Chitra.
It was very beautiful in our group then, like when we started sharing, so we could actually take up bits from everybody's the essence commentary and build up a very good, nice, it went into like a good sequence. So it was nice to hear and then collaborate, condense it in one commentary. Yeah.
Okay, so from a VIHASA point of view, we were doing the values of cooperation. Yeah. And in terms of the tools, it was creativity plus meditation.
Yeah.
In terms of the spiritual tools. Okay, great. Yeah. Anything else? What did anybody else think were the values being expressed in that exercise and the spiritual tools being used? Thank you. I think Chitra, you were next. You'll have to unmute, Chitra. You're on mute.
It's very nice experience. Each and everyone get the chance to give the meditation. So everything is good. I feel it. Thank you.
Thank you, Chitra. Anything else about the overall experience and how we went about today's workshop and keeping in mind our objectives around, what were our objectives? Around explore how to deepen our personal experience of values, to identify what are my personal building blocks for maintaining depth in my experience of my values, and to experience what facilitation looks and feels like. So how did we go in terms of meeting those objectives? Raki, I see that you're ready.
Yeah, so in the beginning of the workshop, the objective was to look at how we can imbibe spiritual essence in building up our facilitation. And both the exercises brought in how to really practice and be agile, to be an embodiment of the values. And once we practice that, it will become just an easy play, which is because we're going to be every moment living that. So what I got was it's just differentiating between where we flip ourselves and being agile there and keep practicing that. And that's the foundation to build in that spiritualness, the spiritual background to bring in while we are facilitating.
Thank you very much. Anybody else who hasn't spoken today?
Deepa
Muthu,
wants to share some. Okay, sorry.
Muthu, you're ready?
My name is Muthu from Coimbatore. Hello.
Yes, Muthu, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
While talking by Dr. Manoj, I felt free because I have already in guiltiness by maintaining values in government office, because Baba has told you are a divine, but while entering into action, sometimes we lose our values. While experienced by Dr. Manoj, I come out from guiltiness because we are trying to keep our values, like do not anger with anybody, with the pressure of work and all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Om Shanti.
Thank you, lovely. I'm going to, Kosha is going to post all of the thoughts that came out from the Menti documents, our enabling factors, the moments where where it goes all a bit pear-shaped and we aren't true to our values. So in a moment that will appear on your chat box and you'll be able to download those. So we've just got a couple of minutes left. Is there anything else? Any other thoughts about today's experience? Ram Kumar?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask you this question or pose this thing to you. See, this thing we talked about acceptance, and I believe something could be expressed this way. And when I hear an expression from some other person, the same idea being presented in a different way, how do I accept it? Or there is an inner feeling to reject that idea. How do you tend to be more acceptable in, of course, there could be different views of the same idea, but just wanted to check with you, have your thoughts.
Look, I think it'd be interesting in terms of your own exploration, because I think the answers have emerged in some of the meditation commentaries that we had. And acceptance is a building process. and I think that that's what we've identified is today is what are the building blocks to acceptance? What are the building blocks to being non-judgmental? What are the building blocks to being honest? What are the building blocks? So it's not, for my mind, acceptance is not any one thing. It's a process where and that was said, there was one of the things that really touched me was relaxation is the gateway to my values. I thought that was really beautiful. And often we're caught so much in the planning, as Dr. Sachin said, that we're not relaxed. And the simplest of simplest things is just breathe and be relaxed, and that connects us to our values. Thank you. It's a lovely question. And mindful that I'm not giving it full justice because of the time that we have. So Kosha has just popped up the link to the Menti results. She's also going to now give you a tool that I'm going to leave you with, and it's called Being an Authentic Facilitator. This is a tool that we created for a VIHASA retreat back in ORC in 2018. Years and dates have just disappeared out of my mind, but this is just a real lovely tool for you to do an audit, I guess, with respect to what your core values are. When do I most live up to them? When do I least live up to them? What are my strengths? What are my weaknesses? And how do I calibrate how authentic I'm being on a day-to-day basis? So this is just something to leave you with, something that you can use. I'll just throw it over to you, Manoj, for any last minute things. And I'm just going to post a link to the work that I've been doing this year around values. I've been doing a lot of writing. I've been doing a lot of podcasts around values, appearing on webinars around values. So I'm just going to give you a link to some of the work and some of my thoughts and churnings I've had around values this year. And I'll just post that. So over to you, Manoj. And thank you to the backup team, to the tech team today, Anu and Kosha and Manoj for inviting me to be a part of today's session.
Stephen Bhai, thank you for that thought also. You said we always have an audience, and I think that has always, that's very, very beautiful. And if you can allow that to remain, we are always having an audience.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, go ahead, Sujata, sister. You were saying something, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to thank all of you, the team, Stephen, led by Stephen Bhai. I've not been a part of any of these online VIHASAs yet. And I've always felt that it cannot be a good replacement for a face-to-face VIHASA. I very strongly felt that. But I like the experience, and I thank you for giving this experience. And I know that we can adapt and evolve and do things so many different ways. So I just wanted to thank and for a great experience.
And I just invite you, before you log out, just please write what is your one takeaway that you're taking away with you from today, and just type it into the chat box, and that will leave us with a nice memory. Thank you. So we're here for a couple more minutes, so if there's anything else, Manoj?
Yeah, we have a few announcements. So thank you, Stephen, brother, for spending your valuable time with us and also giving us this insight into different ways of how to go inside and see the values, whether we are using them or not using them. So thank you once again, and thank you all of y'all. 31 participants are so far still hanging on here. It's very good. You all know the value of values. I'm happy for that. If I can just request Anu's sister to just quickly share one of the slides.
I'll just say a word very quickly that yes, Sujata sister said it right. It's all thanks to Stephen Bhai, because he gave us the experience the first time as well. And I always remember that's the basis of all these events that's happening online. So thank you, Stephen Bhai. You showed us that it's possible. So we explored and we are here today. Thank you, Baba.
Just one more thing. I remember in 2019, August last year, when I was sitting with Stephen in Global Hospital along with Kalpana's sister, she would remember he was saying, why don't you all start using Zoom? And that time it was, we didn't know there's something called lockdown and COVID. And then we didn't realize that really Zoom is the way for us, because Zoom has really zoomed or given us a big boom for the seva of VIHASA. And don't worry, Sujata's sister will be touching base with you and call you for a few sessions to facilitate. We have started involving many facilitators. Deepa Ben also will be called soon. She has to have a surprise. I'll call her soon. So over to you, Deepa.
And actually, as much as there is no replacement for face-to-face, but I think we see there's great experiences like we learned today, each of us. So Baba is giving us the ground.
Just show the slide first. If you can
Yes.
Yeah, Anu sister, can you show? I don't know whether my internet connection. Can you all hear me?
Yeah, it was kind of
You were
breaking. Now
breaking
it's
up.
good.
Yeah. I know. Because it was Deepa's sister, I was saying she'll get a surprise call from me. So hope she understood that. Right. Okay, so we are announcing this. We have these Values for Life series. And please, you all are welcome to join. Please call your non-BK colleagues and contacts as well on 27 December. It's a Sunday. And Sister Shilu, who's a very senior Raj Yogi, you all will be very happy to know that she was the first instrument to start the television series, much before the other speakers have started. That was on ZTV way back in around 1991, I guess. So she'll be telling us on the Christmas Eve how to choose the steps of accuracy towards the shining light of joy and peace in our hearts, which we already have. So all of you are welcome to attend this. The next slide, please, will be, there's a big surprise. You know, we have January month coming up, and all of us as BKs, we love this month because we want to practice this, becoming Bap Saman, becoming equal to the Father. So I think it was it was very auspicious month to start this. We have a silence retreat. Someone suggested we could do this for 8 hours, but I said 8 hours, beautiful experiential sessions, but more of silence. I'm sure all of you have attended the silence retreat. So we are doing this on Sunday, 10th Jan. I'll tell you why we have picked up on that month, you know, because it's the Avyakt month where we want to really practice this. But on the same day itself, when we practice this in the morning time, India time, 4 hours, followed by this, that Sunday, we have the talk on introspection and introversion. That's the 5th episode for Values for Life series. And it will be by respected Meera Didi, who is also one of the expert Raj Yoga teachers and a beautiful spiritual ambassador all the way from Malaysia. So we look forward all of you all to join for these sessions. And once again, all these videos are available on our website now, and our website is really updated. Thanks to Anu's sister and Nikhil brother from Vancouver. They've really put in a lot of efforts. The website is www.vihasa.in. All the series, all the retreats, everything is there available over there. You can just click it and watch it over there in the videos section. So thanks once again to all of y'all. And over to any other announcements if you all want to.
Rajeshwari Ben has raised her hand. I don't know if she wants to share something.
Yeah, you wanted to say something, Rajeshwari Ben, yeah?
Yeah, just I wanted to say it's a wonderful experience, and I was completely involved, and I got peace, which I experienced. That's what I want to say, and thanks for this wonderful session, which was conducted, and I'm lucky to attend for this.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll just spend a minute in silence and then leave the meeting. Is that okay? Anything from Stephen Bhai, or that's it? I don't know whether he's there. Yeah, he's there.
No, I'm here, and I'm feeling deeply touched by today's session, connecting with many of you for the first time, but feeling like it wasn't the first time that I was meeting with old friends. And I will take those meditation commentaries with me deeply. They were very touching, and thank you for your work that you're doing for the world and for Baba's children. Om Shanti.
Thanks to Baba, and thanks to all of y'all for your active participation. Om
And
Shanti.
Anu, can you just save the chat conversation, please?
Thank you. Thank you.
That you want me to do? Share?
No.
Yeah, just save the chat conversation.
I don't know whether you know that, how to do that.
Yeah, I can do it, but I think also for yourselves, yeah.
Okay.
To share the chat, I am not
I've
sure.
got it. I've got it. I've got it.
Save. That's
Oh,
Australian
yeah,
accent.
yeah. I have saved it.
Save.
Yeah. We have to get all the accents. Step 5. Save. Save.
Sujata,
Yeah.
Deepa, you're laughing and remembering my Australian accent after so time. I go in to see Nuebai, and Nuebai goes, Om Shanti.
Amazing. We have the chat box saved. We have the video will all will be available. So Stephen bhai, if you need for anything, let me know. But otherwise, yes, chat box will be saved in the Zoom account, so we can have it.
Thank you. Om Shanti, everybody.
Om Shanti, great to connect. Australia, Canada, India. Wow, Baba is amazing. Om Shanti, Kiran sister, very nice to see you.
Om
People have started
Shanti.
reading.
Thank you.
Yes.
Om Shanti. Thank you, Antipa
Om
sister,
Shanti.
everyone. For
Thank
Shanti.
you,
beautiful
everyone.
meditation. Thank you.
Happy Christmas to everyone.